I don't watch any TV unless it's football. I am a trash American.
Here at Beans.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us here at Beans. This is the podcast Dying on the Inside. My name is Josh. We got Rachel in the booth. And joining us is comedian Drew Wilson-McGrath.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you coming in. I feel like
Glad to
that
be
was a very announcer voice.
Thank you for coming.
Drew, how long have you been a comedian?
3 years in December, I
Okay.
guess. So yeah, 3 years.
What? Why?
Oh man. Okay, so the short answer is I was dared to do it, and I dared myself to do it, which seems really simple and kind of like a junior high school type response, but like very simply, I was like, do it or you're a pussy. That's what it felt like in my head. The genesis behind that was I've always been a fan of stand up, and like so I was in a theater class when I was a kid. And they asked us to do a monologue. This was in like freshman or sophomore year of high school. They asked us to do a monologue. And I couldn't pick a monologue that I liked at all. I was like, this is all bullshit. I'm looking through Shakespeare. I'm looking through all this other stuff. I'm like, this is garbage. And then I watched Blue Collar Comedy Tour. I'm really embarrassed by this, but Blue Collar Comedy Tour.
Had the DVD?
Saw Ron White do his opening bit and was like, you know what? That first 10 minutes, that's my monologue. And I did that.
Tater salad.
Yeah, tater salad. Exactly. They call me, and then the opening is like, you ever been naked in the Bing Bad chair eating Cheetos? I did that in front of my high school class, and I was a portly son of a bitch, right? You know. So, but that was like my opening monologue, and from there on in, I was just kind of like, I'm gonna watch stand up, and then eventually saw live stand up and was like, these people suck. And then like got that stupid idea in my head of like, oh, I could do this. And then 5 years after thinking I could do this, I actually gave it a shot. The why, I probably need more attention than I get than I got in my young life. And so now I'm just like compensating for it. That's the real reason behind it, right? So I had a weird childhood, but ultimately, no, man, it's one of the best things I've ever done for myself.
I talked about it on stage where it's very interesting when talking with comics about like why they started doing stand-up. There's so many various reasons. All of them somewhat are attention whores or need that little extra bit.
Yeah.
But then there's something there that leads you to it. Watching people seeing that I can do this, I can be better than that.
Yep.
And then you go 2 times and you're like, well, maybe not. And then you go a few more times like, all right, yeah, I can be better than this.
My inspiration was Richard Pryor.
Oh, nice.
I used to fall asleep watching Richard Pryor. And it was the Richard Pryor Live in Long Beach special is the one that I used to watch all the time, like to the point where I almost had it memorized. And I just remember thinking to myself, that is a life. Like without knowing a lot about Pryor, right? I was just like, to be able to go out into any space and command a room of your peers, of white people, black people, Asian people, and just make them laugh and bring them joy, that was something that really felt good to me. I am a little bit of an attention whore, but at the same time, I'm like, how do I hone that into something that's productive for me and productive for the people that would be paying attention to me?
That's a good point with Pryor. I never thought about that in his ability to grasp all different types.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I guess the Blue Collar Comedy Tour doesn't do. Don't be shy. I own the DVD. I went and saw Ron White and Larry the Cable Guy in person at the Arlene Schnitzer. I was in high school. Me and a couple of kids skipped the beginning of class to go buy our tickets at Ticketmaster. That's how old of it was. Not to date myself, but we were there in line, purchased the tickets, and then dressed up as Larry the Cable Guy.
That's icing on the cake, dude.
So there is no shame in being a Blue Collar Comedy Tour fan, because I was absolutely one of those. Ron White, by far, my favorite. I mean, the rest are fine, but Ron White was one that really stuck through.
Ron, easily the best of the bunch, without question, and to this day, consistently one of the best of the bunch.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just hilarious guy. There's a reason why he opened that show, right? Because I don't know if I mean, what? Is Bill Engvall going to get pissed off at me if I say, like, I don't know if Bill could have opened that show talking about his daughters and how cute they are?
Be like, where's your son?
Yeah, it's just like, goddamn, dude. Goddamn.
Yeah, I don't think you need to worry about him or Foxworthy at this point. I think both of them have just they have enough money just to ride it out the rest of the way and be okay.
Yeah, Duck Dynasty is just being filmed on their property, and that's how they're renting out the property for that show, and that's how they're making a living.
There's also
no. But I just imagine they would condone the filming of that program on their property.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "You want to say what and shoot guns? Shoot, come on over." And I'd be like, "Done, done."
It felt real enough for me to have to ask.
I'm a good liar, so it can be pretty convincing when I'm just like, they own the property, and then you're like, no, they don't. They don't. I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, for the record.
Through Zoom mics and through the pandemic, do you think your comedy has transitioned? Do you think there's a change between you pre-pandemic to you now? It's not post-pandemic, it's now pandemic. Has there been a change? Is that, whether it affected you in good, bad, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest change for me, one, was I didn't write as much during the pandemic as I thought I would. Like, I wrote a lot, but I didn't write as much. What I committed to eventually was that when I could start doing mics again, when things did pick back up, that I was going to be my genuine self, I guess. I had gotten in the habit early on in comedy of telling jokes that I thought other people thought would be funny, and not jokes that I thought were funny. And the translation point there is when you're telling jokes that you think are funny, you present them in a much different way. You're not just an orator. You're somebody who's trying to convince the audience of something that you think is funny, and you sell it better. And so, like, my transition during the pandemic was that I became more of the comic that I am right now, which means, like, I started saying slightly more aggressive stuff. I started saying more problematic stuff, and then I took the feedback I got from my peers to heart, and I tried to turn that into funnier material. Whereas originally I was just like, I'm pussyfooting around with dick jokes is really what it felt like. I'm just like, how can I tell a joke about penises or having gay parents that is funny to like 5 people? And instead I started thinking along the lines of, what am I trying to say? And how am I trying to say it? And what's funny to me? And out of that, I became angrier, but I feel like a better comic, you know? Regardless of whether or not you're at a show, even if you're at an open mic, when you're trying to get feedback from your audience is only comics, and those comics may or may not have sensibilities that are different than your own toward what's funny and what's not, right? Or what comics they like and what comics they don't like. When you're telling that joke, to try to make people laugh. So you're going to tell that joke to try to make comics laugh, which is already hard to do. But when you're trying to tiptoe a line around comics that are, and it's not everybody, but just in general, comics are going to be a little bit more sensitive to what line you're trying to tiptoe. You are going to get checked a little bit more. And there is good and bad to that, because on the one hand, right, you're being taught that, like, hey, maybe don't say it like that. That does not come across good. And then on the other hand, you're also like, well, don't I have the right to work this out, fail, try again, fail, and learn from my own mistakes? Do I need censorship and feedback to immediately come into my material from other unfunny comics? Or do I need to figure this out my way by trying it on the East Side, trying it in Spokane, trying it in Tacoma, and then really seeing what works? And I think that's what we might be missing in this scene and across other scenes, is like, genuinely let people fuck up. Yeah, don't let them say some foul stuff that's going to offend anyone or incite violence, but let people fuck up and not get the laugh. I think that's a bigger lesson than hearing about it afterward. What you could have done better is to have silence. And I don't think we have that anymore.
There was one open mic we saw where a dude was telling some joke, and it was a stupid, like, meme type joke. And other comics at that time called him out, hey, no, that's not okay. Time to end this mic. And there was that bit where, like, that's what should happen. At that point, hey, man, you're done.
Yeah.
It's time to get off the stage. It wasn't a, we never want to see you here again. It was a get off this stage. bye.
Mhm.
And then he's come back to that mic before. The mic's no longer around because it was pre-Pandy, but he did get to come back.
Yeah.
He's not a funny guy, so it's not like he just destroyed it or whatever. But it
Mhm.
was one of those where like he got checked he got checked,
Yep.
and then you go home with that. You learn from that. I don't know if he ever learned from it. I never really watched him again. I just
Yeah.
remember seeing like, no way, he's back again.
He's tough.
He waited. He waited.
Willpower, baby.
He waited a year at least before he came back. So I did give him that credit of maybe he changed. I didn't stick around to watch him. I went outside, but there is that where I like that's the way I think it should be handled. I like that, especially for the low end spot where we're out there trying to make jokes and be funny, and when we cross lines, I like it when people are like, "Hey, not okay."
Mhm.
And you're done for tonight. It's like when you get drunk at a bar too much. It happens.
Gotta get cut off.
We've all right. And it's not a don't you ever come back here unless you do something grotesque or whatever. But then you just go home for that night. Come back another time. Try again.
Yeah. And if anybody in the audience is negatively or if anybody in the audience hears what you say, if it's troublesome, or confrontational or racist, and they take that to heart. And when I say in the audience, I mean that's not a comic. The people that are going to check you. If somebody takes that home and goes, "That's a pretty goddamn good idea," then you know what? Like, I can see where the value is in that, because you don't want to proliferate those kind of ideas. And that's where I agree with you. Is like, I know when I first started doing comedy, I'm like, I'm gonna go in there with some hard shit, and it wasn't funny and it wasn't hard. It was just stupid. That's what it was. It was stupid. Well, it took me months of doing stupid jokes to realize, oh, these are stupid jokes, and I benefited from some feedback, but I didn't get a lot of feedback. It took me going back to it again and again and again and again, going back to the well, and then being like, people aren't laughing at this shit. I don't like this shit. I need to write something that's stupid and funny. And then from there, that's where I started to snowball into like, oh, these concepts are really funny. And then talk more about your personal life and your family and all that kind of. So I don't know. I always learn things the hard way, though.
Right.
It's been my whole life. So.
Well, that's got to be one. I mean, that's one of the things with the way with your upbringing and part of your jokes is of your family with your moms being adopted. You go into all of that. That's got to make it sometimes hard on certain jokes where again growing up with two ladies that you think you are okay with saying.
Yeah.
Because that's what you grew up around or aren't okay with saying or just whatever else. Like that has that obviously it's some of your bits or whatever, but do you think that helps or hurts you when trying to come up with your new jokes?
A little bit of both. Like, you'd be surprised the amount of straight dudes that get upset with me for saying, and I'm going to say it, you can edit it out if you want, dykes. They get mad at me for saying dykes. I've never referred to my parents as dykes. I don't refer to any of their friends as dykes. I know that is a less than fortunate colloquialism for lesbians. It's also a hilarious word. I don't know what else you want me to tell you. It's a great word. Like, I like the word. It's a strong word. It's like fuck. It's one of those things that's in our vernacular that when you say it has a certain chutzpah, like a bravado to it, where like it just feels good coming out of your mouth. So it's like, yeah, I feel comfortable saying dykes casually, knowing that I could explain away whatever the repercussions would be to the layman. But honestly, dude, I wouldn't say that in a room full of lesbians. Or maybe I would, because I know lesbians that are like, yeah, I'm a big old one, and and so they may not mind, but like, yeah, being able to read the audience in that way, and like, I tell jokes a lot about my parents and like about women and my girlfriend, and like, yeah, it's weird for me to toe that line because I'm neither of those things, but I have the utmost respect for those individuals. So I write jokes about stuff that I love, not jokes about stuff that I hate, and I guess that's where a lot of comics have a hard time differentiating. Is like, maybe some of these comics are writing shitty jokes because they're trying to interpret their worldview, and they're just not good at it. Like maybe that's it.
Well, I don't know. There's that bit too of like what you say, like your mom's got a bigger truck than you, can fix things better, and I can see in real life, right? And I can see someone be like, he's saying that you're just portraying a stereotype, and it's like, no, but it's true.
It's true.
It's the truth.
I drive a Ford F-150 from 2002. because I cannot afford to buy a new truck. My mom has cycled through Escalades. She cycled through Ford trucks. She cycled through GMC Sierras, which is what she has right now. It's like 20 feet long, and it has massive rims, and it has all the gadgets, and it's got a gun rack in it. That's what's in my mom's truck. Okay? And like, it's all true. And then she really did say one day when we were watching the WNBA that I think the women need to wear shorter shorts. And I was like, that is fantastic. Because that is my mom saying that. And I tried to bring that to the stage, and they're like, you're a sexist pig. And I'm like, no, my mom is a sexist pig.
Right.
It's not me. Okay? Like, I am just repeating what she said. I'm not responsible for this. And that's where it's weird. It's like, I think most people, when they hear me do jokes about lesbians, don't believe that my parents are gay. Mm-hmm. I think that's like the elephant in the room sometimes, is I'll do them, and people are like, you don't know any gay people. And I'm like, I know enough gay people to know that this is funny, and that this is okay, and that this is not untrue. And I have no, like, disdain toward the gay community. So yeah, I'm comfortable exploring that, whereas other comics wouldn't be.
I think people worry, like, there are people out there like, oh, they're doing a bit. This is a bit, and I don't like this bit that they're doing. It's like, no. If you listen to the words, this is this person. This is their life, and they're talking. This is the truth. It's pretty obvious. Like, you need to pay attention.
I think people forget that too.
Oh, they absolutely do, and it's hard. I mean, because there are then people who go up and do bits and do their characters or whatever else. So I get it if you don't go to open mics and you don't know at least the whatever lower medium scene. Yeah. You don't fully understand all the characters that are actually in there.
Your life experience is going to factor into how you approach something, and what might not fly on stage here might fly with the people that it's about. And that's where it gets confusing, is you've got one facet of your reality telling you, no, that's not okay. And then you've got the more personal facet of your reality saying, this is all I know to be okay. And I'm trying to communicate this, and not everybody's receptive to it, which is also okay. And, you know, like, that's why everybody hates Dave Chappelle right now, apparently, is because that one thing, those two things, not okay. And there's other people that are going to be silent about it because they're like, you know what, not the worst thing. Then there's going to be other people that are like, more trans jokes. And you're like, fuck those people. We don't need those people. Right. We can have people be critical of it without being like, bring it on, baby. You know? I go to Oregon State Beaver games every year. I'm a season ticket holder, right? So they check vaccine status at the stadium. Sorry, Oregon State. They don't check vaccine status. They have they do. They look at it because it checks the box, but it's super bureaucratic in that way. It's like, you pull that motherfucker out, and if it looks like a vaccine card, you can walk into the stadium. So I know that there's half of these blue bloods out there that are just like, I'm not going to get the vax, but I'm going to get something that looks like the vax, or I'm going to borrow my wife's vax card, and they're not going to care. And they're getting into those places. And so, you know, it is one of those things where there are the people that are coming out in public now, a lot of them, it's like crazy was lying dormant. And that the polar ice caps of their mental well-being have melted. And they're just now, like, coming, they're, like, flowering, and they're like, I'm going to fucking lose it. And they're just doing it, like, in Fred Meyer. And you're like, I don't know what to do anymore.
That's what, it shows how people get into routines. And oftentimes breaking that routine is crushing. And I'm one of those where, like, that bothers me. Now, I was lucky I got to work, so I still had that bit of the routine to keep a little bit of it. But if you know, everything gets taken away, I see why people snap, and then it's like, just don't go to a baseball game then if you think you might snap. Like, let's be honest with you. Let's choose to be the driver. Don't drink that game.
Yep. Yeah.
So you know you won't snap and take a swing at some old man for no reason.
Maybe they don't know. I mean, like, they've been stuck at home.
Well, they shouldn't be so Astros fans. They just shouldn't.
Period. Just in general, don't be an Astros fan. But no, I mean, at that same time, too, like, I get it, because there was a point during the pandemic where I was looking for anything that I could possibly do to get out of the house and do something good for my mental health. And that's what we were talking about earlier, was like, did I do any mics during the pandemic, any of the outdoor stuff? That's why I did Brent's thing. The first couple times, I was agnostic to it, man. I was just kind of like, why do I need to go to this thing? I haven't written any new material. My life's falling apart. I'm happy to have a job. My girlfriend and I are happy, but like my fun is falling apart. The stuff that kind of completed me was ripping at the seams, and I was like, why am I going to go back and it's kind of like, why would you quit doing heroin to start taking opiates knowing that you could have heroin is kind of what it felt like to me. And so I definitely slow dosed myself into it. And then eventually I was going every week and helping set it up sometimes and just like staying for the whole mic. And then, looking furtively on the Portland Comics page and being like, who's starting an outdoor open mic? And that's when, I graduated from just doing Brent's thing to doing the one on 82nd, the Growlers open mic that Amber Gill used to host, and now is Danielle Maricha and Scott II. It's like I started doing that, but those were really 2 of 3 or 4 outlets during the pandemic. Other than the fact that I ran a show on the coast during the pandemic where we socially distanced everybody within the bars that were allowed to stay open. We put up a piece of plexiglass in front of the comics in the crowd so that nobody could like. Which, I mean, come on. If a comic sneezes, everybody in there's fucked. Let's be honest. But, like, that was the steps that we needed to take to get back to some sense of normalcy. And I found after running that show that there were comics that had done that show enough that were like, can we take the plexiglass down? And when we could, which was 2 months ago, it was like a revelation of getting back to normal. So, yeah, like, I tried to find a sense of normalcy during the pandemic of doing comedy, but none of it felt good. Yeah. You look back on I look back on the jokes I wrote during the pandemic, and I'm like, most of these are angry. Like, they're just angry, and they feel like they're coming from the brain of a cooped up man who is like just hates his reality. And I'm like, I need to start talking about lesbians more, Like, I gotta get back to the lesbian jokes. People like those, but people are not like, I am gonna kill myself. They're not wanting to hear that, apparently. So
I remember there was one night during the pandemic where there was an open mic or, Zoom mic or whatever, and I had my setup with a little thing behind me, a one-person setup, because I was doing this other show, and I was like, oh, we're going to make this just like we used to do Thursday night, open mic fun date night. So we had some, let's have a shot. Well, we're going to go down there. We'll sit in the room. You can have headphones in. This will be fun. And then, you're listening to people, and then you realize, like, oh, they all could see my face, so I can't zone out right now, and I don't care for that. And then you do your set, and you're like, that was me doing a monologue.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was some Shakespeare shit.
Cool. Date night.
Where art thou? A few times, and I was a little concerned about myself. Yeah. I get it, man. My breakdown point during the pandemic was, okay, dude, like, I think you'll appreciate this. So I did, I forget exactly whose open mic it was, because I know there's a few that were hosted online, but I gave up to the point where I did what I thought was a character during an online open mic. Like, I tried to like get into like I'm gonna wear a stupid hat and say some dumb shit. I think the character was like COVID Tony or something like that. I don't know. It was the epitome of me breaking down as a human being, and I had a buck knife. Okay, because I have a buck knife, and I was wearing a cowboy hat of some kind, my aviator glasses inside, and like I had a stage light pointed awkwardly at my face so that it looked like, I'm being interrogated by the FBI. And I just ranted for 4 minutes, like holding a knife up to a screen, wearing sunglasses and a cowboy hat and going, hey! And dude, after I did that, I was like, I'm retiring. Like, I am so, like, this is not what I'm cut out for right now. Like, I broke the fuck down. And I remember other people on the end of it that knew me well, that liked me, were just like,
yeah.
Okay, we're gonna call BetterHelp right now. We're gonna... And I've hosted and I've produced really good shows in bars and really bad shows in bars. And that's where I think, like, it's a total crapshoot. So it's hard to get behind that as again, like I sound like a corporate lackey, but as a business model of bar shows where it's like I'm going out tomorrow to Seaside to put up posters for a show that I'm running on Saturday because I want to get traction for it. Well, okay, I'm spending $45 on gas to and from in my truck to go put up $20 worth of posters that I paid for to go run a show where the budget doesn't exceed $400. So in the long run, I'm making $100. You deduct 60 from that. I'm making $40 to go run a bar show where I'm putting in most of the work. And I want to avoid that going forward. I'm not saying I'm at the point in my comedy career where I'm like, I deserve better, but it's more like I want to avoid those situations because they are so highly variable for the audience you're going to get. Could be 5, could be 50, could be 15, could be 3. And you're just like, well, fuck. I mean, am I going to put on a show in a totally random town for 3 people that all just got divorced? Like, this isn't a good vibe for me right now.
Then the weird spot where you have a show where the first half there's 3 people, and then out of nowhere there's 50. So you feel real bad for the first 2 comics that sat through and fucking struggled with these guys. They know Tom and Larry and Linda behind the bar. They know them because they talked with them. Oh
my god!
And then you get the headliner who comes up, and all of a sudden there's 50 people, and you're like, where did these people come from?
That strikes a chord with me because I've done shows and hosted shows where it opens up with, this is going to be a nice, small, intimate audience. Welcome to the show. We're glad to have you. We're not going to pick on any of you. And then by the time the headliner goes up, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about back there? Shut up. And it's just like, that's what it is. And I'm just like, I hate that. Where I have to go from like, welcome, yoga studio vibe to like, I'm going to murder you if you don't stop talking near the bathroom. Chaz, like, what is wrong with you?
For me, Patrice O'Neal, greatest comic ever. I always follow that, and that was his thing. The truth is the truth is the truth. That's why the truth is always the funniest.
Yeah.
You can make stuff up. You can try to pretend to be something else, and characters can be funny and all that, but it's always the truthfulness. That's where that shines, and I think the pandemic has allowed us all to realize like what our real truthfulness is and what our real truth is.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that out on the mics because, again, that's the funniest stuff.
And I will say that hearing you say I have 2.5 months or 2.5 years or whatever it was of pent up truth, that's how every cult starts. That's how every single cult has ever started in the history of ever. It's like, I have 300 years of truth in my body that I need to share with you, but give me your daughters and give me your firstborn dog, and we will move to Utah.
Being on the podcast is just the beginning. This is stage 1, and we'll work our way up as we go.
But no, I feel you on that one, man, because almost, and you know what, I guess you hit the nail on the head. When I came out of the pandemic, I realized that I was going to start being true to myself. And so, yeah, 1.5 years of pent-up truth, I started telling not just jokes about my parents being gay, but better jokes about my parents being gay. It went from like, ha, 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 I have gay parents. It's weird. They can be manly sometimes, which is not entirely true, because that's what I thought people wanted here, to like me telling an honest joke of like, I need to learn how to pee standing up. And I never got anybody teach me that when I was a young kid, because they both sat down. They're like, we don't know how to work this device. You know, we can put a hose on the side of the house, but your hose, no idea how that works. Like, I don't know what you do, buddy. Just don't pee on the toilet seat. And that came out of an honest place of like, what did I miss as a kid? And that was like, well, I peed on the seat a lot, and my parents got mad at me for it. And I was like, maybe I needed a better teacher. Did you ever consider that before falling in love? You know, like, I guess that's what it was. And then I started honest jokes about the girlfriend, honest jokes about how I felt, and those were always funnier to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was always funnier to me than the pandering stuff that I had been working on beforehand. Yep. So,
and it always is. It always will be. You know, even if you can pander what you think is a gem, it's only a gem for so long.
Yeah.
Where the truth is stuff that's just gonna last. And I'm that same way. That, you know, that's the other downfall of like doing kid material. The kid grows up, so the truth changes. So there's some things where it's like, dang it, I can't do this anymore because she's not 3. But there are bits where it's just like, I'll still always have that. There's always, truth never goes away. It just stays funny. If you word it right.
Related to that, so since you have a kid and your material can be based off of that, how long do you find that it takes until you get tired of a joke after doing it? Because like right now I'm in a rut where I'm like, I don't like any of my material, even though I got 15, 20 minutes of it that I know works. I'm like, I'm over this shit. When your material is based off of something that's always growing and always changing, how long does it take you to like get over it?
I fly through. Like I write down the premises and I write down jokes and I save them in my Google documents.
Yep.
And I have them and I know I can pull them. They're in my head. They're in there. But I don't know, a couple weeks and then I'm on to something else. It's just part of it of, there's somewhere like, all right, I know this is competition worthy or this is show worthy. So I'll build it a bit. But I'm very big on, especially like if I do an open mic, the same open mic back-to-back weeks, I ain't going to do the same material. I'm going to come up with something new. I'm going to have to.
That's a good philosophy.
Because I'm not going to be that, to me, I'm not going to be that asshole that just comes up doing the same stuff for open mics.
There's a lot of comics that'll say you rely on crowd work when you're weak as a comic. And no, because that's one of the hardest things to do as a comic is take nothing and turn it into something. That's what crowd work really is literally pulling together different elements of a situation and making it into one cohesive element. And that's one of the toughest things to do, and it's also one of the hardest crafts to hone as far as doing your comedy, but I also think it's one of the purest forms of comedy. If you track comedy back to like the days when we had bards, right? People that traveled township to township telling stories and being humorous and engaging and entertaining people, that was their living and how they made their bread. It was very often topical, like, oh, I was just in the next town over and boy do they smell like shit. And I've seen people come to Portland and do the exact same thing and be like, I was just up in Seattle and they're all heroin addicts, and you're just like and in reality you're kind of like, yeah, they all kind of are fucking heroin addicts. Fuck those cocksuckers up north. But that's the thing that I think people they look at crowd work as something that is like shameful, when in reality I think crowd work should be looked at something that is a talent. And if you can genuinely go into a situation, make it something that it isn't, and have absolute strangers laugh at a circumstance, that is, I mean, it's not magic. I'm not going to go that far, but that's alchemy, dog. Like, that's what that is you're literally taking your environment around you and conjoining it into one thing to produce this thing that makes people have a reaction. It's alchemy. And that, I think, is it's super fucking cool. And people will dog on it sometimes, but, like, more people are bad at it, and instead they'll be like, what else did I do today?
What's the other part? Crowd work requires eye contact. And I think that's there are some comics out there where that's a hard thing to do. Yes, you can see the crowd and you can glance over, but eye contact, looking right at somebody when you're saying something like that, I love that part because you bring that person in. Then you can find out, is this person uncomfortable, right? So if they're uncomfortable, they look away. Okay, maybe, they like my jokes, but they don't want me looking at them. Cool. I'll move on to the next person because this guy's a little drunk and he's digging it right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to you, sir, and we're going to have that bit.
We're going to have a banter, you and I.
But when I started comedy, I remember looking out, knowing speech 101, look out towards the audience. I didn't make eye contact with these people. Yep. I couldn't take that kind of judgment.
Don't break the fourth wall.
No. I was glancing, and I'm looking over their shoulders and at their drinks, but I wasn't going to look them in the eye. God, no, I was telling terrible jokes. You can't look people in the eye when you do that.
You're staring at the red card at the back of the room, and you're like, I'm doing crowd work. I know you're down here, and my eyes are up here, but I'm doing crowd work to the red card in the back of the room. I remember that.
So it gets forgotten, and it is an art, too. I got to see Jimmy Pardo at the Tower City Festival, and that he really got me going on the idea of yeah, crowd work. This is cool. This is how you can do it. You don't have to do bits about it. Doesn't have to all be Andrew Schultz just sitting on a stool making jokes about people right in front. You can use the people to lead into the joke that you want to tell.
Exactly.
And I'm not. I love Andrew Schultz, so I love the way that he does. I'm not talented enough to do that. I learned that, but I realized no. But I can use this guy to get to the story I want to tell.
Yeah, and to give you an idea of what you want to do. Yeah. Like that, and that's genuine crowd work. Is like, okay, so one of the things I look for when I go into a show, I look for the lesbians,
Sure.
bro. Like that's I'm on like constant lighthouse lookout for like hardcore dykes because I'm like I got 10 minutes just for the three of you, that'll kill because you're laughing at it and other people are watching you laugh at it. Whereas if you weren't in this room and I was doing it, other people would be like, this is a little problematic. I don't think this guy likes lesbians. And I'll be like, I mean, I do. I love them. But, hey, you know, they can, you know, but that's, yeah, that, I think it really is a skill. And that's one thing that I honed during the, like, doing my shows on the coast during the pandemic, is eventually I would go in there with zilch for material because who the fuck was writing that much? Who the fuck had anything to write about that wasn't the pandemic? And I go in there and be like, where are you from? And then you just build off of it. And yeah, it was weird, but it also worked. So
Yep. Makes it stronger too.
Yeah. Anyway, you wanted to do news.
Yeah, we do news stories on here because it allows us to get more clicks and to allow us to have other topics. I pick and choose. Well, we pick and choose the news. This one I picked specifically. This is from America's Got Talent Extreme. Jonathan Goodwin, he speaks out after stunt gone wrong. Basically, I'm just want to talk about the fact that they were on America's Got Talent. They added Extreme. And of course, on the first season and first try of this show, something went wrong. And this guy got really messed up. He's fine, so we can laugh. It's okay.
He's okay.
But this is what happens when you try and make America's Got Talent more extreme.
He looks like he's got 5-degree burns all over his face. Like, and his eyes have been peeled back by an explosion that he caused. Like, what? So I don't have the context behind this. So what did this guy do?
Okay, so the stunt was he was in a straitjacket, I think, or some sort of apparatus. I watched the video. I'm not going to show the video, but I watched it. He is in this thing, whatever, tied up, and he's trying to release himself from the chains, and he's supposed to drop as two cars fly into each other. He was going to drop below. He didn't release fast enough. And I think there was this weird thing where, like, in the video he kind of bounces a bit. Whatever. Things went wrong. The two cars collided right into him. And they exploded, and then he just dropped. So it's not, it's intense.
Damn.
And so here's the other, for me the issue is I wouldn't be excited to go see that show. So if this is America's Got Talent Extreme, and this is what you have to offer, I'm going to need more.
So the idea is that we're going to take the singing, songwriting, dancing, and like juggling acts to who can light themselves on fire the quickest type of thing.
This is what happens when you let people from Police Academy start being talent on America's Got Talent.
Oh, dude.
I don't remember. It's the sound effects guy made it to like the semifinals. And it's like, no. He's been working since the 80s. He doesn't get to be on America's Got Talent.
That's rough, dude.
The worst part is in the semis, he showed why, like, we don't, like, I can't remember his name. Michael Winslow, maybe. But I feel like that might just be the guy from Family Matters, so I may be wrong on that.
Michael Winslow was the guy that did, like, all the weird voice stuff. Like,
yeah.
It's
him.
Oh.
Yeah. So he was in Police Academy or Police Academy 2. Okay. He was on America's Got Talent this year and made it to like the semifinals or something. Yeah.
For that? For like,
Yeah. You're like, it's crazy. It's crazy being in LA. You hear the cars drive by. There's some guys on motorcycles. That's what he did. And then like,
he has to go on America's Got Talent. Everyone knows him as that.
Right. And we choose not to go see him at our local casino when he comes in. We choose not to go to those shows. I don't understand why they put him. Luckily, he only made the semifinals.
Yeah.
Right.
I can see that getting really out of hand when you like introduce a really like a really enthusiastic sword swallower
Right.
to the mix, right? Like extreme, where it's just like this guy, it like the sword's gonna shift right, and it's just gonna go whoop, out of his body. Like we have our extreme America's Got Talent. It's called the NFL. Like that's what it is where you see grown men slam into each other and snap their ankles off from the rest of their body. Meanwhile, this guy's like, I'm going to have 2 cars go smush, and then I'm going to fall right between them, and I'm going to be on fire the whole time with the sword up my ass. And you're like, you know what? Put it on TV.
Follow it up with also another beautiful news story here, as Carmen Mola, who was a very popular Spanish novelist, it came out that she is actually 3 male writers who had made her up.
Oh my God, are you serious?
So they wrote these detective novels about this female detective. Were winning awards or won an award, and that was when they decided to come out as, hey, we're not Carmen Mola, we're 3 Spanish dudes. We're buddies. We wrote this story. They have been credited as like being, the female such and such of writing and all this stuff.
God, dude.
And then it turns out to be these 3 guys who are like, this was a joke that went farther than we expected.
That's exactly what it is, too. Is these guys were drunk on a yacht one day.
That's what I was.
And they were just like, you know what? Nobody's going to listen to our shit unless we write it as a woman. And then they're like, Carmen Mola sounds like a great name. This is like they're fucked up on this yacht, right? And they pull into port the next day, and they have like 3 pages of a transcript written up, and they're like, fuck it, we're going to marketing with it. We're gonna see what happens. And then they end up with a great success. And like, okay, so of these 3 dudes, the guy in the middle looks the most fucking smug over what's happened. Like, you could tell he was the brains behind the Carmen Mola thing. And these other.
I feel like it's the left.
Oh, the guy on the left. Okay, well, so the guy on the left looks like the George Bush to the middle guy's Dick Cheney. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Is the guy in the middle is Dick Cheney. He's pulling all the strings, but the guy on the left is the one that looks more presentable on television and less like he's gonna fuck your kid. Like that. And so they put him on there because he looks like he can pass on TV. The guy in the middle is like, you look like a Breaking Bad villain. Like, we're not gonna let you do shit. And the guy on the right, he's the accountant. That's what he is. He didn't write shit.
The guy on the right's wife owes him $50 because she didn't think this was gonna work.
It's a bit over dinner. He's like, look, I got this really stupid idea. We're going to write as a woman. She's like, you have no idea about what women want. And he's like, but I do. What is this?
This is our next story. This one I'm excited about. A ninja with a sword assailed a U.S. Army Special Operations Unit in California.
I shouldn't be laughing at this.
Right? Because this is our special ops.
But I am.
This is special ops.
Did it work?
Slightly. So what happened was this ninja broke into the area.
Oh my God.
And I will give this article credit because they started out by saying a man in ninja garb, and then by the end of it, it does say the ninja. They put respect on his name because what he did was he snuck up on one of these special ops guy, and he grabbed him and he said to him, he goes, "Do you know who I am?" And the man said, "No." And he goes, "Oh, do you know where my family is?" And the man said, "No." So he went, "Ha!" And he slashed him with his sword.
God.
And he cut him in the leg, and he messed his phone up. He scratched his iPhone screen. That's in the article that he messed his phone up. And the special ops man ran. He took off and ran. This is our U.S. Army Special Ops. He ran from said ninja who had slashed him. And he went up and he met his other special ops people right in the area. And he's like, "Hey, guys, I just got attacked by a ninja." And you would think that these special ops would arm themselves and take out this ninja. But no, they barricaded themselves in a building. And so the ninja then continued to throw rocks. And one of the rocks went through a window. And it tagged the captain in the head.
And he was like, "That's enough. We're going out there."
No, the cops caught said ninja because Ninja just took off at that point. And so the story ends up with the cops, whatever. They have to taser him. They get him. It's Gino Rivera, 35-year-old ninja, who went after him.
I feel like this is the plot to a Nicolas Cage movie. I'm like Gino Rivera, played by Nicolas Cage, assaults special operations officers in Ventura Beach, California, while they're on vacation.
The story pushes that there are 2 people injured throughout this. And I understand that the man who got hayad with the sword in the leg is injured. But how mad are you if you're the captain when they're like, the EMT's like, all right, we're going to have to walk away here with 2 injured. And you're like, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. I understand that you put a stitch in here. And I understand, yep, you use some gauze, but you're not going to put me. I am the captain, sir. You're not going to say I got hit in the head with a rock while we were barricading ourselves from a ninja.
I'm not injured.
There is 1 injured on this story, please. You're not going to leave. I am a captain, damn it. You need to put some respect on my captain.
It wasn't a rock. It was a hand grenade that I then picked up and threw back out the window.
In my defense, I thought it was a ninja star. Like, it was, what else would I expect? He's a ninja.
Oh, Jesus Christ. The fact that there is a 35-year-old ninja out there is just great. It's just great. And the fact that that was quite obviously a mentally deranged human being that infiltrated and scared the shit out of our special forces is the best thing I've heard in a long time.
Because
That's
it's
terrific.
the special forces, it says, which has redacted the service members' names.
Yeah, because they're
We don't employ
embarrassed.
these pussies. Look, there's a reason why we were in Afghanistan for 25 years, and it's because of people like him.
And then I love in quotation marks, hunkered down in a hangar, wondering where help is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's because-
Did the Huffington Post write this article? They hate the military.
When the cops got this call, it was like, to the military base. I don't think they. Are we the perimeter? We're the perimeter. I've fallen for this before. You go in there thinking it's exciting, and they tell you to watch the perimeter. So I'm gonna post
that
up.
if the U.S. Defense Department wrote this article, it was gonna be like 15 adult males, Chinese, stormed.
All right, we're going to do a few TikToks.
I like it.
Rachel and I love TikTok. I don't know if you're on TikTok or not, or if you are familiar with what it is.
I'm not on. I am familiar with what it is. I'm not on TikTok, but I have that weird iPhone capability to watch the TikToks that my friends send me.
Perfect.
So that I can be inspired to get on TikTok. And then each TikTok I see, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I need this in my life.
Oh, just wait.
Okay, there we go. I'm ready.
We love TikTok. Grab the headphones and throw those on.
I'm ready for it. I'm grabbing these headphones.
We have spent a lot of time making our algorithms, especially just for us.
Okay.
Rachel picked 3. I picked 3. We put them out there. And I'm judging by her reaction.
With me.
There we go. I like
I put
this.
it in random order.
I like this. This looks like a person I met in Arizona once.
Just because his cactus is on the shirt, you jump to Arizona.
Cactus, okay. Cactus is yes, and then I see the pink hair, and I'm like, no, she's definitely from Eastern Oregon. She's like the one hippie in Eastern Oregon.
Are we ready?
Do it.
Yeah.
Back when I was a teenager, whenever my sisters made me mad, I would come out to the line to see if they had any clothes out here, and if they did, I would rehang all of their shirts, essentially giving the shirts a titty twister before clipping it back up. Because when they dry, they look like this. I'm the youngest. So.
That's genius. That is genius. What a move.
That is fucked up, but also hilarious and smart.
How many times did their mom get blamed for like, Mom, again, you hung my clothes up. And
Yep.
this is...
Oh, and that caused so many first dates to go poorly because either you had a spare outfit that wasted your time putting it back on so that you were late for your date, or you went to the date in that outfit and
Right.
he was like, them is some saggy titties. We're not going on a second date.
Hey, he could be a Madonna fan, and that could be what got the second date. You never know. I mean, different strokes for different folks. There's a lot out there. Oh, this is my man.
Oh, he's got balls on his chin.
Yeah, well, he's a Balchinian.
This is my body type to a T.
I'm DJ Funnybone, and I believe the worst thing that can happen to you while you're shaving is that you end up acting like this after you nick yourself. I can't stop the bleeding, 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 I can't stop the bleeding.
We need to get DJ Funnybone verified. That's my TikToker that needs to be verified this week is DJ Funnybone. He is full of jokes. That's what he does. He comes out there, he announces himself, and then he tells his jokes. They are great. I really enjoy him.
Wait, are all of his TikToks filmed in his bathroom?
Yeah.
Oh,
all
my
done with
God.
That. Excuse me, bathroom. That is his studio with his fantastic background that DJ Funnybone has.
DJ Funnybone lives with his mother,
he-
in case anybody was wondering.
Look, nobody thought that was his own place.
And his mom doesn't approve of his TikToks, but she's like, Mom, I gotta go to the bathroom really quick.
Are you
And he
kidding
comes
me?
out 30 minutes later, she's like, my son's masturbating in the bathroom again.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I believe DJ Funnybone's mom is very supportive. When he goes and shaves, she brings him a fresh new roll of toilet paper to make sure he's okay. She gets it. She's like, man, that is the truth right there, DJ Funnybone.
She's
This one is
a guy from Portland.
I was gonna
kind
say,
of
yeah.
a take on quarantine, like what we were talking about before, like the quarantine
Look at
not
that.
okay.
That played out.
So I read somewhere that if you bake, it like helps with your anxiety or your depression or your stress. So I baked this pie, but it didn't come out right. So I baked these other two, and then I made Rice Krispie treats that aren't really baking. But then I made this banana bread, and now I'm making cookies. And I'm just curious, like, when does the pain stop?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think there are a lot of white women that experienced what that man experienced during the pandemic, where they're like, my banana bread isn't lifting. I can't put it on Instagram now.
White women, you should see the baking supplies purchases I've made during this pandemic. I bought a whole cake set with the spinny thing with the right propper so you can get your buttercream frosting on nicely. I bought molds. I bought all sorts of stuff. It is not just white women.
White men realized that they were, Mary Berry from the Great British Baking Show. During this pandemic, they're like, I'm going to feed my family if it's the last thing I do.
couldn't
and
hang
it was
out
all
with-
shit.
I couldn't hang out with my kid at the park. We had gotten so used to that in the pool. So I was like, got to find something to do. And it was like, all right, let's make a cake so at least I can be fat and happy at the end of it.
There's nothing quite as disappointing, though, as trying to bake a meal for you and your loved one or loved ones and then failing miserably at it. Like, I made... I'm a decent baker, but the one thing I can't do is, like, sweet treats. I can't do those. I can do breads, homemade from scratch. I get all the herbs, the seasonings, the little butter on top with a little bit of water so that it cooks and it browns and it's beautiful. Like, I can do all of that. But when it comes to making a sweet treat, I just shit the bed so hard. And I did that so often during the pandemic. And I was like, I'm a failure as a future non-existent husband. Like, I'm not going to be able to feed my family. These cats don't even want the shitty cat. I made cat food. I made homemade cat food for my cats during the pandemic. I was like, I was going to take these carrots and this shrimp from Fred Meyer. I would spend like $85 on cat food supplies because I'm like, I'm going to make my own homemade cat food now. And my cats would reject it right in front of me and be like, this is shit. This is shit.
Start this one off. Last episode we played one with a teacher. This is one with a teacher as well, but it's not the same thing. I just want to show how hard it is to be a teacher right now. Go ahead.
Oh, Rachel will appreciate it.
Now I don't know what she yelled. All I know is she is taking attendance because the next thing was somebody else in the class, O'Brien, say here. So these kids have pushed that substitute teacher to the breaking point and
And it might not
rolled.
even be a substitute.
Can we play that one
It's a roll.
again?
The
Yes.
thing said at the bottom, the post said substitute teacher.
Okay.
But just the fact that we're at roll call and she lost it.
Bro, that sounded like a Pokemon's like mating call. What she did right there, that was crazy. And like to your point, that's at the beginning of class. Imagine when she's like, "All right, now we're gonna learn about American history." And you're like, all right, we're ready for the Native American part of our schooling right now. How did that go?
There's no way you can do the rest of class after that.
Damn.
After
dude.
that, there's no way that you have my attention for 45 minutes. There's no way in hell. You just screamed like a little child. I don't care what you have to say for the rest of this time. And I get it. It's got to be so hard to be like, kids are ridiculous to substitutes and to teachers. We made a teacher cry. We made a teacher quit.
Yep.
So I get it.
I got a
Kids
teacher
are terrible.
fired.
Could you imagine now with masks how much easier it is as a kid to be able to fuck with your teachers? Y'all can start coordinating, talking, and they can't see who's doing it. They just know a general direction now.
Dude, just fart noises. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like just doing a little during the middle of
Yeah.
class when she's trying to say something and you have no idea.
Nope.
You can't see who's smiling. You can barely see the guilt in their little tiny eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fucked up, man. That woman's going to be committed to a mental institution soon.
That's what I saw that they did, like an emergency. We need more substitute teachers. And in my head, I'm like, I bet you do. I bet you do.
They're doing a call for substitute teachers like it's a fire and they don't have enough like firefighters. You know, they're
Absolutely
like, we need all the volunteers we can get from the community to report to this classroom immediately. We have a lot of out of hand children. Oh my God.
Dude, this is my man. I don't know his name, but I like this guy. I get a lot of him.
Is he
Scott.
Cro-Magnon man?
Is what?
Scott Rogers.
Scott Rogers. That's right. Scott Rogers.
I thought you said Hot Rogers. I was like,
Pretty
maybe
close.
not.
Wolfpack of Mobile. Meet me at Little Caesars on Gleelot right now. I'm on my way. This guy named Jack threatened to slap me, but he don't know what I have. I got y'all. Wolfpack of seven.
So Scott Rogers has a wolf pack, and to join the wolf pack, all you have to do is just be there for the wolf pack. That's it. And I've seen there's a lot of other people like Scott Rogers who have multiple wolf packs. That's a big TikTok thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it's a Southern TikTok thing
Maybe.
because I'm gonna judge the people. But he was in Mobile, so I'm not wrong with him specifically. I get that it's a harsh judgment to make. I'm just saying that the people that we've seen who talk about their wolf packs are all from the South, and he needed his wolf pack to assemble because somebody was going to strangle him. I don't believe somebody was really going to strangle him, but I
At
was
a
wondering-
donut shop? Is that where he was going?
that's the spot in Mobile
I
apparently.
thought he said Little Caesar.
Oh, no, he did say Little Caesars. Like,
That guy's
wait a minute.
he's all about the good love and
Okay.
protecting women is his big thing.
Oh, good.
He doesn't like the haters on the TikTok. He mentions that a lot. He does not like the
I
haters.
feel like he has a good number of
Oh,
them,
there's a lot of
maybe.
haters. I've run a hater before.
The
It's pretty-
anti-wolf
It's
pack,
pretty funny.
you know?
But
Oh my God, that guy could be in my wolf pack any day
There's-
of the week.
oh man, you can be a part of his as well, as long as you stick up for women and are there for him if somebody's trying to strangle him in your town.
Yeah, I will stick up for women, but I will never ever fly to Mobile to support that man.
No, but if he's in Little Caesars in Portland, you may show up and watch him get his ass kicked.
The fact that he's making a call out for people to come meet him at a Little Caesars, I think that's the spirit of his request. Is he's like, who wants pizza? You know, can't we all come together over pizza? That's what we're here for, right?
I hope he posted it other places because on TikTok I saw it 3 days after he posted it. So even if I was in Mobile, I wouldn't have been there. I've been like
This
showing up
guy
3 days
needs
late,
help.
been like,
I thought I was gonna help you, and I'm at the wrong Little Caesars. Who knew there was 4 Little Caesars in Mobile, Alabama?
You telling me you haven't seen Scott Rogers? He's a little guy with a wolf pack. You wouldn't have missed him, trust me.
He's probably staring at his phone too much, and he's probably talking to something called the wolf pack. Maybe you know this guy. That was probably my favorite of the series so far. That man's brilliant.
He's a good one. Oh, what do we got? Oh, this is okay. How to eat oysters.
Oh no. I already
How
don't
to
like
eat
it.
oysters.
You just mix it like this, and then you go.
Ew.
And you're done eating it.
Just the appropriate reaction when eating oysters.
The best thing ever.
She looks so traumatized.
She had been told she's supposed to like those and that they're really good. And so she was trying to show her friends how good they were.
I feel that woman's pain. Because whenever I see people eating oysters, I'm like, you're a fucking monster. How do you do that? She didn't need that to happen in her life. Although,
But she did do a great job of, making the video. She was there for TikTok to show how to eat an oyster. That's what she was there for.
A lot of effort into this, and she really tried.
Dude, we appreciate you coming on the show. Do you have anything you want to plug?
post them on Instagram. You can follow me at Drew Wilson-McGrath. It's my full name, which is the worst Instagram handle that I could possibly have because who's going to spell out 3 names? But I'm there. You can find me on Facebook, and I stay off of Twitter for my own sanity. But
Everybody, thank you for joining us here at Beans. This has been Dying on the Inside. For Rachel, my name is Josh. Thank you, guys. We've been good.
yeah.
I don't know why I said we've been good, but we have, so at least it's the truth.
Here, at Beans.